Perfect, and we're live. Well, Caden, thank you so much for joining me tonight. Here I got Caden Eggleston. Is that right? Is that how I say your last name?
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect. I thought it was gonna be true. Well, anyways, the boyfriend to my current little sister, Lauren. So he's listened to a couple of podcasts, said he really liked what was going on. So I figured it'd be great to have him on and have a conversation, a more deep conversation, and bring you on. So I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah, and thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. So I know you just kind of wrapped up your wrestling season. You made it to, was it the finals, or could you tell me more about kind of how your wrestling season went?
Yes. Well, basically, I was ranked top 12 all year, and I got second at regionals, qualified for the national tournament, made it to the round of 16 in the national tournament, and then I lost out from there. But I mean, it was a good season. I learned a lot, about myself, about how I want to compete as a competitor. I wrestled at 149 pounds, which year before I competed at 157. So the weight cut was a little bit harder this year, but honestly, I think it was better for me because in season I had to stay more dialed in and focus on my diet and really like how I'm training, preparing my body. So uh, ultimately, I didn't get the goal I was looking for, becoming an All-American, but, hopefully next year, if I can finish off my senior season, you know, riding off into the sunset.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's an incredible season. I know you didn't get the finish that you quite wanted, but I mean, like you said, finish or staying in the top 12 all year, and for anyone who hasn't met you, you're not short by any means. So yeah, you to pull off 149 is pretty impressive, and so to even make that weight cut is kind of crazy. So no, it's awesome. As we've talked about in the past, being a collegiate athlete, it's a lot. It takes a toll, especially going to school and doing all those things, and so for you to do it at such a high level is very impressive. It's very impressive, and I hope you give yourself enough credit and know that you're pretty good at what you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. But I think Lauren told me that you're from Nebraska and you came from a small town in Nebraska. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'm from Hickman, Nebraska. It's about 12 miles south of Lincoln. Uh, Probably around like 5,000 to 6,000 people in my hometown. So pretty small, but Lincoln's a pretty big city. So I liked growing up there just because like it was like small town vibe. I could play out like in my neighborhood with my kids, do like Ghost in the Graveyard, like 500, all the fun stuff without
Oh
having to
yeah.
worry about like big city stuff. But we're also close enough if we want to go to like Husker games or Shields or big stuff. Where it's like literally a 20-minute drive, so it's not too
Okay.
bad at all.
Yeah, that's not bad. Do you think in the future that you would want to go back to kind of a smaller town, or do you think you'd want to move towards the city?
I would never see myself in like a super big city like Chicago or Denver or something like that. Like the biggest I probably would live in would be something like Lincoln, where like I like Lincoln a lot just because it's nice and stuff like that. But ultimately, I do want to live in a smaller town like Spencer or the town I grew up in.
Yeah, absolutely. Spencer being, I think it was right around 12,000 when I was growing up. Nothing too crazy, but it's a good sized town. I've always been more on the edge of, I'm with you. I don't, even though I live in Kansas City, it's so spread out that it doesn't feel like there's 2 million people in the Kansas City area. Whereas like
Yeah.
some major cities, it's just like densely populated. So I've always said I
Hmm.
like living around the 100,000 to 200,000 people range where it's a bigger size city, almost like a Sioux Falls type. Just because there's so many things to do, and obviously you had that exposure with Lincoln being close to you when you were growing up. For Spencer, it was a little bit different of a case where we had Sioux Falls was the closest one, and that was like 2 hours away every time we wanted to go anywhere. Crazy. So, living a little bit differently, but no, that's awesome. What do you think kind of living in that small rural environment kind of taught you about your like who you wanted to become, your morals, beliefs, and everything like that?
I think it kept me like honestly like very grounded. I'm grateful that it like the way I was grown up, the way I raised, I wasn't exposed to a lot of like troubled stuff and stuff that like would get me in trouble. My dad grew up in Aurora, Colorado, and he lived in a bad neighborhood where like, there was violence on the street and all that. And he was exposed to it like at a very young age. And it, like, led him to almost in a sense, like he never was, like, living that life, but that life was normal for him, so, like, when my parents, like, wanted to have kids and all that, they wanted to make sure we were raised in a safe neighborhood, and I'm just grateful for that because, like, I had that safety growing up that not a lot of kids nowadays have.
Yeah. I think that's huge, and that's kinda one of the big points that when me and Darian decided when we had Freya to move to Kansas City, we were originally living in Oregon, and Oregon is kinda historically known to not have the best communities and, have a lot of exposure to some negative things, and so, yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it is definitely the best thing is even though, like, I say all the time, I wish I still lived in Oregon, I love it so much, but when it comes down to the environment you want your kids to grow up in, that's the only thing that matters, so I think
Yeah.
that's really cool that they kinda made the jump
Mhm.
to do that. That's awesome. Well, I know you're kinda going towards, like, a higher education. I know with right now, you're getting into your senior year you're going into your senior
Mhm.
year of college, but I don't think you have any plans to stop there. What kind of is driving you to kind of pursue that higher education and even go into the medical field potentially?
Just the need to, want to do more, help people to the best of my ability. Like, I honestly, like, I did think, like, I wanted to, like, when I grew up, I always wanted to get, like, medical and the full doctor route. But as time went on, I realized, like, maybe I don't wanna do that much, like, of the grueling schoolwork and all that stuff, and I wanted to have a better, like, work-life balance in a sense like that, like, more consistent hours, so, honestly, recently, I just decided that and I started job shadowing some PTs, and I'm leaning in, and more than likely, I'm gonna apply to PT school next year and go down that route because I just have an urge where I wanna help people, and I'm a hands-on person just with wrestling and all that, and I think, honestly, it'll be the best way for me to help people and, like, use my skill and knowledge to the best of my ability because, like, my parents and my coaches and everyone around me tells me, like, I'm smart and all that, and, like, I can do a lot of good stuff in the world, but I need to apply myself, so I'd say, like, that pushes me to wanna get a higher education, and also, like, the highest degree someone has in my family is, like, a two-year associate's degree, so, like, just, like, being able to achieve, like, greater stuff is something that my mom has always pushed me for.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. It's not easy, I think everybody has those original ambitions of like, oh, I want to like even myself. I was like, oh, I want to be an Egyptologist. I want to go to all this years of schooling, but it takes a lot to actually do it, especially if you've been now
Yeah.
going almost into your fourth year of college. You know what this takes. Plus, I mean, on top of it, the added severity of the more advanced schooling, more hours, more all the things that kind of go with that. So, it'll be a lot moving forward, but I'm sure you'll be able to tackle it on hard. I do have my buddy Joe Shinhao. He was actually on the podcast episode or two ago. He's in the middle of med school, so he's in his fourth year of med school. So if you ever needed somebody to
Mhm.
reach out and kind of talk to about it, or even listen to him, he'd be a great source to go through because he's very open about it and likes to talk about all of his experiences. So it's a grind. It's a grind for sure, but it takes a special person. But at the same time, when it's done. I mean, then it's done and you have the rest of your life kinda
Yeah.
set up for you, so it's
Yeah.
it's worth it
Mhm.
in the long run for sure, especially since you're so
Yeah.
young. So you might as well.
Mhm.
Might as well do it
Yeah.
while you're young. That's
Mhm.
cool. Well, now that you've been, with Lauren for a little while, how long you guys been together? Like 8 or 9 months now or
Uh,
so?
11 months, we're
Okay.
about at a year,
Very
in the
nice.
middle of April is when we'll hit a year.
That's awesome, man. Well, what is something that you've kinda learned about yourself, would you say, being in a relationship with Lauren?
I'd say the biggest thing I learned about myself is that, like, there's more in a sense, like, more important stuff in the world and all that than, like, just, like, sports and, just because, like, I've always been very focused on, like, wrestling and my training and, like, getting the best at that, so it was like, my whole life, like, in a sense, I've put that first, and then I meet Lauren, like, I get a girlfriend in wrestling season, which, like, sometimes that can be hard just because, like, I can't necessarily, like, eat out as much or, like, go get sweet treats as much, and, like, my mood fluctuates, like, a decent amount if I'm closer to tournaments, so, like, just one thing I learned about myself is, like, learning, like, I really gotta, like, shut off once I'm not wrestling, like, my wrestling brain and, like, live in the present and just, like, enjoy the moments I have at hands, otherwise, like, I'll miss, like, a lot of stuff in life, which honestly, like, doing that and having that made the season a lot more enjoyable than I'd say in my past seasons.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I couldn't imagine, when you got a little sugar rush or you're just feeling that dip and you can't do anything. I wouldn't wanna be around anybody either. I don't blame you one
Yeah.
bit. So, that's
Mhm.
awesome. And I can tell, you've made my sister incredibly happy, and I know she's been going through a similar change with going to, USD now and going to different schools and trying to be the best version of herself. I think you guys do a great job of complimenting each other and trying to bring out that best version of yourself, and at the end of
Yeah.
the day, if you guys can make each other smile, I mean, that's all that matters, I
Mhm.
told
Yeah.
Darian that no matter what mood I'm in, no matter how whatever I'm going through in life, my goal is every single day to make her smile, at least one time a
Mhm.
day just to make her smile, then I know I'm still doing a good job being a good husband, and so that's just a little thing that I always try and strive for, but no, you guys seem really happy together, so I give you nothing. You seem like a nice guy. Yeah, you seem good enough. I think it's awesome. I think that's awesome, man. So, well, I guess kind of looking into the future, yeah, I know you have kind of some things laid out where you're going to school and different things like that. But what kind of vision do you have for yourself, would you say, the next 5 to 10 years?
Next 5 to 10 years, I'd say I wanna graduate whatever graduate program I go into, and hopefully, I'd say, like, buy a house, may like, potentially start a family. I don't know, we're still like, obviously, we're very like, we're still young and all that, and, hopefully, by the time, like, 10 years hits, we're married and we're just happy and overall in a very good spot in life and ready to, like, settle down almost in a sense and just yeah.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Yeah, you're at a young age where it seems like probably everything's just snapping. Like you're just trying to
Mhm.
accomplish so many things at once. And that was one big thing that me and Darian said. We had just a list of 5 year goals that we wanted to accomplish and achieve. And we felt like we were just trying to rush so fast to get through all of them
Yeah.
and just try and take them all on. And then when it was finally done, it was just like, whew, like, just breathe. Like, we did it, we did good things, and so I think when
Mhm.
you're youthful, you put so much pressure on yourself to try and accomplish so many things fast, and you don't wanna fall behind, and you don't wanna not be successful, so it's kinda that mad dash to do it, get everything done at once, but I think you guys are at least you are on the right step of just taking things one step at a time and just let them come naturally.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm trying to, like, stay present and, like, enjoy the moments and the process, like, as it comes because, like, entering my senior year next year and the next phase of life, like, we only can go through this stuff once, so it's, like, try not to be too uptight and too stressed out about it because like, these moments are stressful, but to really, like, enjoy the process because, we're only on this earth once and get to enjoy this life once, so we might as well, have fun and enjoy it while we can and not, like, let the future burdens and all that weigh us down too much.
Amen to that, man. I like that take on it. Um, and you're right. I mean, I don't know how many times I've looked back and it was like, man, college flew by. It just flew. I mean, it's only 4 years of your life, and I mean, obviously, when you go to advanced schools or if you even go back to schools, it's not the same. It's not the same when you're young and you can do partying and you can do all the and you get it like that first experience because it's the first experience going from high school to then, oh my goodness, you're on your own and going through life. So you're absolutely right. It's very easy to just piss it away and let it fly by. I definitely did. I definitely pissed away 4 years of college, and I did not take it for I took it for granted, because then, yeah, when I was out working and doing all the things, I was like, "Man, I would just love to go back for a day and just not have any worries, because I know as much stress as there probably is right now, or at least feels like there's not all the other stresses that come when you become an adult, when you have a house, when you have a family, when you have all these things. It might seem a lot now, but it gets worse.
Yeah,
There's a lot more
uh-huh.
to come, but all the
Mhm.
good things, good stressors, I
Yeah.
could say, good stressors. But,
Mhm.
speaking of stressors, what emotion do you kind of find hardest to understand about yourself, would you say?
I'd definitely say sadness. When I was in 8th grade, I lost my dad, which was very hard for me, and I had to grow up faster, and it taught me a lot about myself, so even still now, like, understanding the sadness and, like, dealing with those feelings sometimes is hard and difficult, which, like, I'm grateful for Lauren and all that because she's helped me, like, through a lot of that and, like, truly deal with it, but, sometimes on a daily basis, I, like not daily, but, like, monthly and all that, or, like, if, like, practice doesn't go that way and all that, just, like, dealing with the sadness and, like, coping in the right way in a sense.
Yeah, man. I can't imagine that going through all of that, and especially at such a young age. And like you said, I'm sure you had to grow up really fast and take on a lot of other responsibilities that you never knew were out there or didn't know that you needed to. And so and I don't know if that'll ever go away. I think that that really is tough. And like I said, I couldn't imagine what you're going through. Death is something that it comes for everybody, and we'll talk about it later on in the podcast. But it's never easy. I mean, even with grandparents, we just had last or in this last April, so a year ago, we had three of my grandparents die all in the same month, and it was like even though they were in their 90s and they lived an amazing life and you wanted to celebrate it, there was just such a feeling of sadness. And so for you to be that young and to experience that, I can't imagine what you had to go through and what you still go through on a daily basis. So kudos for you to be able to put a smile on your face and put smiles on other people's faces because that's, I'm sure, a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, and, like, honestly, like, my mom always tells me this too with, like, after I met Lauren, it seemed like since, like, after my dad, I, like, in a sense, lost, like, my smile, and, like, it was harder for me to be happy in a sense because I, like this is not the best mindset, but it's like, why would I wanna, like, make friends with them if they're just or, like, meet new people, like, in the end, if we, like, all die or, like, if they're gonna leave me because it was, like, very hard to deal with. But, over time, time does heal a lot of stuff, and I met Lauren, and she in a sense, she brought my smile back, and I'm very happy in life right now and where I'm at, so I'll forever be grateful for her.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. And yeah, I mean, it does take a while, and to get that spark back, that's what you need. Time does cure all, and sometimes, a lot of times, going through that time is not easy. It's not easy at all.
Mhm. Yeah.
But as I've gotten older and tried to think that I've gotten more wiser, then yes, time
Mhm.
does cure all the hardest woes. But
Yeah.
um, that's awesome, man. I'm glad that you're mature enough to kind of acknowledge those things too, because, like you said, there's a lot of times where you could have just let that darkness continue to cloud over you, and you could have let
Mhm.
just life take its course and just be like, well, yeah, that life is gonna keep taking things from me, and so why would I even trying to go out and get other new things? I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine,
Yeah, and,
so
like, you see it a lot too with, like, people, like, my age and, like, your age too is, like, one bad thing will happen and all that, and then it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna drink for, like, 3 days straight," or like, "Oh, I didn't get the job I want, so I'm not gonna apply anymore," but it's like, if you view life and, like, stuff like that, then I just think you'll never be able to, like, truly achieve your full potential and, like, do what you wanna do in life and what, like, our purpose, what we're made for.
yeah. Would you say wrestling has been another big factor that's helped you cope with this sadness?
I would say, yeah, like, wrestling allows me to get, like, my physical aggression and anger out in a sense because I'm able to go into the room and beat up on guys, and like, my dad always coached me growing up, so it's like, it's a good way I can feel close to him, and honestly, like, I do use wrestling as a good outlet because, like, working out does release, like, positive endorphins and stuff like that. So, I would say yes.
That's awesome. Being a college athlete and being so engulfed in the workouts and the practices and obviously the matches and everything, it all comes to an end. And so I think that, I've been around a lot of athletes, being an athlete and knowing a lot of people, and when you finally comes to an end, it's very hard to take that. I
Mhm.
mean, have you thought about the end? Obviously, you going into your senior year knowing that there's not probably anything after your senior year and what you're gonna kinda do to cope with that?
Yeah, honestly, I have, and I think that's why, like, right now, like, I'm still training, like, hard and stuff like that. Not, like, super hard, but, like, the amount where, like, at the end of the day, when I finish my last match of the national tournament, whether I, you know, win the whole thing or go 0-2 or become an All-American, like, as long as I can just wrestle hard next season and I can look back and be like, "I gave it everything I had," like, obviously, it'll be hard not to compete and stuff like that, but I think at the end of the day, that'll help me a lot, like, leave the sport feeling fulfilled because, like, I've gave 14, 15 years of my life to this sport, so it's like, if I can do that, I think I'll be able to end my career happy.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I always tell the story that I quit too early. I only did 2 years of college football, and left it on a bad note, and less than 6 months later, I signed up to join the army, so I was like, clearly, I was just not done with whatever I needed to
Mhm.
finish, and so
Yeah.
there's been a lot of my buddies, my friends, and everybody that just, I think in my college dorm room, we had 3 out of 4 of us join the military just because we all quit football too early, and we still needed that
Mhm.
camaraderie and that brotherhood and just felt like there was more left in the tank for us, so for you to be
Yeah.
able to finish out your senior year and do it hopefully the way you want it to, I think that'll give you a lot of satisfaction and hopefully fulfillment so you don't have to go chase that dragon after you're done and move on to the next
Mhm.
chapter. But
Yeah.
it's crazy too, because like you said, you've done it for the last 14, 15 years, and then all of a sudden it's gonna come to a close and you won't probably ever do it again, you know? I don't
Mhm.
know, like, it's not like golf where you can just keep playing golf on the weekends, like, I don't know if there's really anything for wrestling outside of the collegiate level, or is there anything
Yeah.
close to that?
The next thing would be I would honestly probably start doing, like, jujitsu and stuff like that, or
Mm.
maybe, like, doing MMA just 'cause, like, it would help me keep, like, physically in shape, and, like, I've also, like, trained a little bit of that, like, our assistant coach last year had me and this other kid on our team, Xander Ernst, we trained some fighters in, like, wrestling and jujitsu for their fights, so I think that's something I would like. I definitely would never probably, like, compete ever again, which would suck, but just trying to stay in shape and ultimately, like, I like that too because, like, let's say, like, someone ever breaks into, like, my house or something like that, I'd be in shape and be able to, like, defend the house.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to announce our new sponsorship with West River Whiskey Company. West River Whiskey Company started as a dream in the summer of 2020. While working with Indian Motorcycle, the owner, Joel, made great friends with some key executives at Jack Daniels. They successfully opened their business in April of 2021. They started their journey off with Jack Daniels products, and after just 6 months into operations, they were approached by a business partner, Gordon Oman of Black Fork Farms Distilling. Over the last several years, they have built the West River and Black Fork brands, introducing the world to South Dakota bourbon. Starting with just a handful of bourbon styles, they now proudly pour and sell over 15 different bourbon products, as well as Black Fork's top vodkas and gins. In 2024, West River was named Deadwood Business of the Year by a group of their peers. They strive to give back to the community that has given them so much, as both Joel and Don proudly serve on the Deadwood Fire Department. You can find their website link in my bio, where you can get direct access to their merchandise. As always, thank you for your support and enjoy the rest of the podcast. Yeah, I mean, staying in shape. As you get older, no matter how much you want to stay in shape, life comes after you hard, especially
Mhm.
when you get into
Yeah.
all those stressors and um, it, life's tough, man. But
Mhm.
it is hard, I talk a lot about with Brendan, obviously him being a personal trainer and just trying to find ways myself to like try and stay motivated, keep my mindset right. And because it's hard, it's hard when you don't have anything, you don't have competitions to get ready for, you don't have, workouts that you got to make and all these other things
Yeah.
to keep self accountability. And it's definitely something I struggle with every day. And so I was telling Darren the other day, I used to be able to do like 120 push-ups in a row, and I'm like at like 10, and I'm like, like, it's
Yeah.
just you get old, you get out of shape, but yeah, it's definitely not a bad thing, not a bad thing. Jiu-jitsu too is fucking awesome. Jiu-jitsu is so cool.
Yeah.
And for you being a collegiate wrestler, I'm sure is not like a huge step out of your realm. Obviously, there's a
Mhm.
whole different technique to it, but I'm sure it's got to be a smoother transition than like if you were to go do kickboxing, maybe that would be a completely different thing. But
Yeah.
jujitsu seems right up the ballpark.
Mhm. Yeah, and, like, honestly, with, like, kickboxing, MMA, it's like, I don't wanna get rung in the head and get knocked out, you know? Like, I've already lost 1 tooth in my lifetime, I don't wanna lose any more.
Yeah, no, the concussions are definitely. I had to think 3 during football, and that was enough. Where it was just like when it comes to the head, dude, it's a whole different ballgame. It's like your back and anything
Mhm.
else with that where it's just connected to your whole body, and when that's out of sorts, it's just a nightmare. So, you can have a bum ankle, a bum knee, and get along just fine, but when it comes to your whole body, yeah, that's no dice for me. Yeah, it's not any fun,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
that's cool, man. What do you think your younger self would be most surprised to learn about who you are today, would you say?
Honestly, like, I'd say my younger self would be most surprised, like, the way I live my life and in a sense, like, how disciplined I was just because, like, you grow up, you think of college and, like, all the people that, like, you think you go to college, like, join in a frat, partying, like all the normal college stuff you think you'll experience, but like I'm grateful for the people I met right when I came to college because I was exposed to the different side of like working hard and like staying more grounded in hard work where I wasn't thrown in those distractions like as much as the average kid and I never really had like a big like fault like because when most people go to college, it's their first time away from home and
Mhm.
you get that freedom and what do you do with the freedom? You start partying, you start experiencing and doing all those stuff. Well, there was like a lot of 5th and 6th year seniors on our wrestling team when I came, and they really like lent us into like working hard, like bettering ourselves. And just because like in the long term, like that stuff is fun, but I believe I would have looked back and been like, I wasted so much time doing that stuff instead of like bettering myself and my body. So I think my younger self would just be, in a sense, like hopefully proud that I
Yeah.
chose the life I did and lived that lifestyle that is not considered normal for a college kid.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's amazing that you had some good role models because most people, yeah, when they get to college, it's immediately, well, here's a bottle and you have to
Mhm.
drink it now, freshman, and all the other shit that goes around with it. So to
Yeah.
actually have some good role models is awesome. And I always say you can regret all the nights you drink, but you almost never regret not drinking, right? You can still be
Mhm.
involved, you can still be at the parties, you can do all the things. But I was the same way where it was just like I did not work my entire life to get to the point of being a collegiate athlete like I wanted to be, just so I could go get drunk and piss it all away. Like I did
Yeah.
not work this hard my whole life just to go have a couple of moments of fun. So I was right there in the same boat with you because it just seemed foolish to me. It just seemed silly
Yeah.
that yeah, when you get there, it's just like you're just gonna throw everything out the window and it just act like none of it ever mattered before. So kudos to you, man, because yeah, obviously, that's led you to be the wrestler that you are. I mean, if you would have gone down the other path of the more traditional college route, I mean, who knows where you would have been, but I'm guessing it probably wouldn't be one of the best wrestlers in your weight division and, competing at the highest level, so
Yeah.
more
Mhm.
power to you, I would say.
Thank you.
Yeah. What is the most painful truth you've had to accept about yourself, would you say?
I'd say, the most painful truth is probably I'll never be able to satisfy everyone, and, like, I should try to satisfy, like, myself over other people because I'm a people pleaser. I like to make people happy, like, I don't like to let people down, and just it's, like, hard for me to come to terms with, like, people being mad at me or people being sad at me because I didn't perform and stuff like that, so, like, that is like, it's something I still struggle with because, like, at the national tournament, I didn't wrestle the best, and, like, I, like, felt bad for, like, everyone that loved me and cared about me because I felt like I let them down, you know? When it's like, my coaches just have to remind me that, like, like, just because I lose, that doesn't change that, like, I still have a girlfriend that loves me, my mom still loves me, my brother still loves me, my teammates still love me, like, they don't look at me differently just because I lost or, like, you know? It's just, like, something that's hard to deal with, letting people down, but and I'm still, like, working on, like, working towards, like, myself and wanting to achieve stuff for, like, myself and not other people because that's, like I need to be more self-motivated in a sense and not, like, wanting to do stuff for other people.
It's when you're in that selfless mindset where you just want to give to everybody, I see it firsthand with Darian. She is one of the most selfless people I've ever met in my life. And yeah, you do need those people in your life that it's like it's about you. Like at the end
Mhm.
of the day, you've got to take care of yourself and you've got to do what's best for you and not what's best for
Yeah.
everybody else because it's
Mhm.
it's very easy, at least from what I've seen with her, to get into that mindset and just put everything else and give 110% to everybody else but herself. And it's tough to see. It's tough to see, because like you said, you feel like you let people down, and even though, uh, like recently with her and her schooling, she just felt like she was letting us down as a family, and I was like, "Dude, like, this is about you. This isn't about anybody else. You want to
Mhm.
progress yourself and be highly educated. It's all good. Like, it has nothing to do with me." So, uh, I definitely know that struggle, and I deal with it
Yeah.
with, I guess, my wife every single day. But have you found anything that's helpful to kinda cope with that or anything that kind of gets you back self-centered?
Honestly, I just talk with Lauren mostly, just like getting my feelings and thoughts out, and she does very well at like keeping me grounded and like reminding me to like think of like what do I want to do, like not what is like especially like when I was trying to make a decision for like I want to do for like my next career and next level, like it can't be like what do my friends think I should do, what does my mom think I should do, not even what like she thinks I should do. It's like what do I personally want to do and what will I be happy doing like the rest of my life? And just like talking about it and like truly just like sitting there and thinking like, what do I want to do? Like that helps me a lot and not like in a sense like pushing those thoughts out of like what other people think because I have to remind myself like no matter what I choose, no matter what I do in life, like as long as I'm a good person, I keep my smile and like I'm not treating people badly, like at the end of the day, everyone will still love me and care about me the same.
That's right. Absolutely. I think you're right on the money with that because I say the same thing with my head. I get so many thoughts trapped up there. I think I just have so many things going through my head and without being able to talk to Darian about it, it just gets stuck. It gets clogged up and
Mhm.
then it just seems as soon as I'm able to just vent out, even if it seems so important in my head, sometimes if you say it out loud, you're like, "Oh shit, like what are we talking about right now? I didn't even let's move on." But like,
Mhm.
if you don't talk about it, it just gets stuck. It just gets stuck up there, and you're just so caught up and so tripping over it, and it's wild, but when you finally have somebody who you can trust completely and you can say everything that's on your mind, I think there's plenty of people in our life, whether it's parents, siblings, so on and so forth, where you can like tell them maybe 85, 90% of the truth, but that 10% kind of gets stuck in there just because
Mhm.
you're worried about how they're going to feel and what they're going to say. But when you find your partner or somebody that you truly trust 100% and you can just let everything out, it's therapeutical. I mean, there's no doubt about it. There's definitely some therapy in that sense, and so to have a partner like that is really cool. It's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, one thing I realized too, especially with, like, this season, I lost, like, the very first meet of the year, and I didn't lose again until regionals, and, like, I was holding on for so long for, like, because our season's, like, 5, 6 months, so there was, like, a 5-month period I didn't lose at all, and I was holding like, so hard to try to be perfect and, like, try to win for, like, my team, like and, like, because I want people to think, like, I'm good, like, I'm the best, because like, that's kinda what everyone wants to think, like, you wanna be successful in life, and you want people to think you're doing good, and I had to talk with my coaches about it was just this giant bubble that kept, like, building up and eating me inside, and I didn't know how to deal with it until, like, I wrestled in the regional finals, and I lost to a kid I beat 2 weeks earlier, and it just popped right there, and, like, it was like I lost, and I wasn't really angry, it was just, like, a feeling of relief that all this stress was off me, and it was, like, I needed that moment to be able to, like, look back and, like, see what I did wrong and, like, my mindset and, like, how I can change it going forward.
That's awesome. Yeah. 5 months is a long fucking time. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the pressure that you put on not only yourself, but I mean, when you're in a team aspect too, you just feel like at that point you're like you're the guy who's clutch, right?
Mhm.
You know that you're going in there, you're gonna get your team some points. And so if you've done that for so long and then finally it doesn't happen, it's gotta feel like a letdown for sure, but to your like you said, your teammates still support you, you still know you're one of the best wrestlers on the team, even if it just didn't go your way that day.
Yeah.
Especially isn't, like, each round there's 3 rounds of wrestling, and then it's, like, 3 minutes long each round too, is that correct? Or is it
It's
shorter than that?
3-2-2, so the first period is
3-2-2,
3
okay.
minutes, and then it's 2 minutes and then 2 minutes. So it's like you look on the outside, it's like, "Oh, that's only 7 minutes long," but it's like during that 7 minutes, you need to be, like, mentally engaged. Your body needs to be, like, physically conditioned because you're putting your
Yeah.
hands on another guy that's trying to, like, hold you down and impose his will on you, so it's like a chess game in a sense. It's a lot of mental and physical power.
I'd challenge anyone who thinks it's easy to for 7 minutes to go try and roll around on the ground consistently, like, no way. No way, but it's like there's so much training that and so much mental preparation that you're going through to get to that moment just to, like, only last 7 minutes, it's crazy, but,
Mhm.
obviously, probably in that 7 moments, it don't feel like 7 moments or 7 minutes,
Yeah.
it probably feels a lot longer than that, um But it's so weird. That's always it was like with track and why I never sustained it was I was always a sprinter. So it was like, you mean to tell me I'm training for 2, 3 months at a time just so I can run for 10 seconds or 12 seconds? Like,
Mhm.
that's crazy. And for you guys,
Yeah.
just to literally like count your calories, do all these exercises, always turn on that wrestler brain just to go wrestle for 7 minutes at a time. If you make it the whole 7 minutes, is a
Mhm.
lot. That's very stressful. That's very stressful. So kudos to you.
Yeah.
You got a stronger brain than I, my boy. I
Thank
wouldn't
you.
be able to
Like,
do that.
honestly, it's like the mental aspect is where, like, people struggle most just because like, if you look at, like, the D1 national tournament just got done wrapping up and, like, there was a stat that came out that, like, out of all the 2 seeds in the tournament, the people that were predicted to make the finals, only, like, 3 of them ended up placing in the top 8. So it's like, you get down early, the crowd's loud, like, all that stuff's going on. It's hard to bounce back because, like, you're physically ready, but, like, mentally, if those doubts and stuff, like, start creeping in, like, that's when you feel tired. Like, that's when your body starts, like, letting you go down. It's like the moment you doubt yourself in those 7 minutes is, like, the moment the match starts to slip away from you.
Mm, it's crazy. That's crazy stuff. Well, I hope next year we'll be able to make some meets and be able to see you do your thing because obviously you're very passionate about it and we love to support you. So we'll
Thank
see
you.
what next year brings. We'll see what it brings. I
Yeah.
can't say I'll put on any Morningside gear, but I can at least show up and support the boys. So I can do that. I can do that. But well, cool. Let's shift the conversation a little bit more towards the faith and spirituality aspect of it. So when you think about your like faith, spirituality, or higher power, where do you personally stand on the idea of God?
I believe in God. I grew up going to church. From a young age, I did like church on like Wednesday, like church school. Church on Sundays when I could, when it didn't like conflict with schedules. And I've always believed in God, and I thought I had a strong like grasp of God and like Jesus and everything. And then honestly, like I met your sister, and we started actually reading our Bibles more, and like I realized I don't understand as much as like I thought I did. So, like, currently right now, I'm trying, like, to stay in my Bible more and, learn more about God and, like, what he's saying and, like, truly, like, what his word means and, like, how to live, like, a godly life in a sense.
That's awesome. Yeah. Has there been any like experiences that have led you more down a spiritual path other than obviously Lauren? Have you ever had any like specific encounters where you're like that had to have been a higher power?
You know, I honestly don't tell a lot of people this, but I have this necklace that my dad died. He was cremated, and part of his ashes were put in a necklace. And my brother, my sister, me, and my mom all have one. And I wear it around my neck every time I go somewhere. And I've lost that necklace probably like 8 or 9 times. A lot of times, almost like twice a year, probably. Like one, I'm like left it at a baseball field. Like there's nowhere to be found and walking in my garage, it's, like, sitting on top of my baseball bag, like, perfectly right there. Not on, like, the inside or anything, like, on the outside, which is, like just thinking about that, it's, like, almost impossible for it to be sitting there after, like, I picked it up, we went in the car and all that, and, like, sometimes, like, I'll lose it, and, like, I'm, like, mad at myself, like, I'm frustrated, and it always finds a way, like, back into my hands or, like, in my bag or, like, I'll get done doing my laundry and I pull it out of one of my pockets. I'm like, "That is just crazy."
That is wild. I mean, it's things like that where it's like you can't explain that, right? Like how in the world is that actually happening? And
Yeah.
like it's happening. So like what's the explanation, you know? I think that is really really interesting. So, I know Lauren told me about that, and I think that's really cool that you guys all have that. And so I guess you got to find a way not to lose it. I mean, after
Yeah.
you're all done with wrestling, maybe you just never take it off again, but
Yeah,
because
mhm.
that would
Well, it was
be
like
yeah.
yeah, and it's been things too, it's like the necklace will, I like to take my necklace off just straight over my head just 'cause, like, I'm a little lazy and I don't like to unclip it, and, like, it'll break and it'll fall in, like, thick grass, and, like, it's a tiny little pendulette, and, like, somehow I'll always, like, find it, so it's just nice to know. I believe, like, my dad's, like, my guardian angel, and he watches over me, so, like, it's just nice to know, like, I view that as a sign, like, hey, he's always looking out for me and, like, in my corner and protecting me, you know?
That's awesome. Do you take more of, like, the traditional route with Christianity, like, when you believe in the death of Jesus Christ, he came back for our sins, and all the other things that kinda follow with that, or do you kinda take more of a untraditional route with Christianity, would you say?
I take the more traditional route. Like, I
Okay.
believe Jesus died for our sins, and that one day, like, there's going to be a rapture, and like people are going to go to heaven or hell, and that's how it'll be. Just like based on the life we're living, like if we're following the word of God and stuff like that.
Yeah. I know you said that you've been reading you guys' Bible a lot more. Do you guys go to church, often, or is it just more of getting into the reading of the scripture?
We try to go to church. It's sometimes it's hard for us just because like schedules and all that stuff. And we up here in Sioux City, like we don't really have a true church that we like love the best. So we try to read our Bibles because sometimes we feel like we can get more out of reading our Bibles and like understand it that way than like going to church and listening to like a pastor that sometimes like says stuff that not that we don't agree with, but like that we're like, well, like I don't know if I view it like that, but we honestly just
Wow.
haven't found like a true solid church for us to go to.
That's fair, yeah. Is there, like, a certain chapter that you guys or that you personally really enjoy? Is it, like, in the Old Testament or New Testament?
I honestly like, I mean, it's generic, but I like Philippians a lot. Uh, Paul wrote it to the Philippian church, and I just think there's a lot of good stuff in there. Also, like the Book of Psalms has like a lot of poems and good stuff in it that are just like honestly, I view them as like motivational. Like there was one I read, like Lauren wrote me a letter, and I read it every time before I wrestle. And there was a psalm that talked about like, why should I fear people? I have God with me. What could mere mortals do to me? And it just reminds me that like there's a bigger purpose in life, and like I should just be grateful that I can go out here and do a sport in a sense, like play this game when there's people all over the world being persecuted for their faith. So like I should just be grateful for this opportunity.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I think that, I always take on the side of that I'm not spiritual in a sense, and I don't have the same, beliefs per se. But I think it's amazing when people do find those beliefs and do find good things. And obviously, coming from it, there's not a lot of negativity that comes through those readings, right? Or like you said,
Uh-huh.
you're going through and you're trying to become a better version of yourself. And I think that's the most important part. So no matter
Yeah.
how you practice it or whatever you do, as long as the general outcome is that you become a better person and you want other people to be successful around you,
Uh-huh.
I mean, what's wrong with that? What could
Yeah.
be so wrong with that? So I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And that's like what I'm striving to be is just like better myself, treat other people kindly, and like, like a thing I struggle with and it's hard to is like not to judge other people, but like,
Mm,
like pray for people around me and not take like it's easy to spread negativity and like if something like someone wrongs you, like a truck cuts you off and all that, it's easy to get mad, maybe give them the bird, but like,
mhm.
like, hey, maybe they're rushing to go see their family at the hospital, so like it's okay.
Judgment is definitely something that I think every human can say they struggle with, and it's really hard to put yourself in other people's shoes, especially, yeah, you just don't know what they got going on, and I definitely struggle with that every single day, and so I try and do the leadership or, lead by example and put a smile on my face, say hi to everybody that I see or at least engage and, ask people how they're doing with their day, even though if they don't ask me back or even want to look at me,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
always like, what's up, brother? How you doing today? Or whatever it is,
Mhm.
just putting that positivity out there. And that's one thing that I really talk about is just like as a society and us trying to build, we're the younger generation. We are going to be the people that bring up the culture and the societal norms. And so if we can, it takes each individual to bring in positivity and bring in good morals and beliefs. And so it's part of our societal deeds and duties to go out there and do what we want to see. If I go out there and put out a bunch of negativity, then I should expect a bunch of negativity back, right? But if I
Mhm.
go out there and
Yeah.
put out a bunch of positivity, then I would like to think in terms of that some positivity would come back. I don't
Mhm.
demand it. I don't expect it. I hope. I hope. And
Yeah.
that's all you can do is you can hope that better things will come from the world.
Yeah, and like my coach like talked about like karma and like good karma and all that, and when he was competing, he said he never like he wouldn't even cut corners across the grass, and he would always hold the door for people just because he believed like, we're all gonna need good karma one day, and like you never know when like the in a sense like the luckiest moment of your life's gonna happen where like you escape death or like tragic barely, and it's like the more you do, I believe the more likely like good will happen in your life.
Absolutely. I am a stern believer in karma. I really do
Hmm.
believe in karma, and it's not in the sense of like if I go and give somebody $100, I expect $100 back. It's nothing like
Yeah.
that. It's just truthfully, the more good I put out into the world, the more good I hope to get back in return, or at least I think it will. But it kind of helps me understand the world too, because if I'm not on my best behavior, maybe I'm cutting corners or doing things that I know I shouldn't be doing, and then the world comes back and hits me in the face with it, I don't sit there and go, "Well, fuck this, fuck that, why
Hmm.
is everybody out to get me?" I'm able
Yeah.
to turn the mirror back on myself and go, "Well, let's be honest, what have we been doing the last couple of weeks? Have we been cutting
Hmm.
corners? Have we been doing different things like that?" So, karma is definitely a term that I use frequently in daily. That kind of helps me wrap my head around life, because life can be very complex, as you know.
Yeah.
So, but looking at like kind of the origins of humanity. So obviously you probably fall on more of the spiritual side, or would you say on the evolution side? What's your take on that?
I definitely the spiritual side. Like, I think like as a society, as times went on, we've like evolved, but I don't believe we came from like monkeys or like that. I believe God put us on this earth. Like, it's written in Genesis, like the Bible, like, like how humans are created. Like, God said, may there be light. There was light, there was darkness. He created Adam and Eve. And that's honestly like, I've always believed that growing up. And I like honestly think I always will just because of like, I was raised going to the church. Like my mom had like this picture Bible book that we used to read as kids, and like I liked it because like it dumbed it down a lot for like little kids and like use pictures so we could just like see and visualize it more. And I've always believed that. How about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm more of the side of evolution.
Hmm.
I a lot of times with the historical background, it's you need evidence to support a lot of things. So I can't sit here and tell you that I've got evidence and proof that the Big Bang Theory happened and that we kind of evolutionized from all these different Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, Homo erognus, and all these different beings that kind of came before us. But I like to think that way. That's just kinda how my brain kind of it's the scientific evolution brain, where it makes more sense in my brain for that to have happened and taken place, because I truly think that as humans, we're just one in a trillion chance. I really do think that we come here more from chance rather than intention, and that we just kind of have gotten lucky over time. And so, I know for a lot of people, you look at humans and you look at everything other living creatures on the planet, and you're like, well, how could we be so much more advanced than everybody else and not have a specific purpose, or, a specific power that kind of watches over us? I just think that we're lucky. I think that we had enough cards fall the right direction over millions and millions of years that we continue to evolutionize, and that I don't think that some of these mammals or creatures are far off. I don't think that they're, obviously to the intelligence that we are, where we can speak and write and do all the things. But I do think that we have evolutionized enough to the point where we are now. Because if you also look at us, I mean, the things that we're constantly growing and the things that the human brain is constantly evolving, we're finding new technologies and doing all these things. It's just going to keep going and going and going and going. And that's, I think, most walks of life, you're going to continue to grow and get smarter and push forward. But at the end of the day, I always say I think we're all mammals, we're all just living organisms on this planet. So I think it's wild for me to say that we're more special than any other living organism on the planet, in the sense of that we have gods, that we have, higher powers that watch over us and all these other different things. But that's just kind of my take on it, I would say.
Yeah. So then I got a question after that. So then
Go
like
ahead.
obviously like the Big Bang Theory and all that happened, but how would you like accredit like the science, nature, and all that? Because it's almost like a science and probability. Like like Yellowstone's like way past due for eruption. Like
Mhm.
gravity stays the same. Like we never get hit with asteroids. Rarely they never hit us. Like the moon like doesn't like nothing ever happens to the moon, which like throws off like our waves and stuff like that. Like the sun hasn't exploded or a giant solar flare hasn't hit us, and like a really, really long time, like how would you accredit that to like probability and odds? Like, does it come to a point where there's almost too much like odds and chances that have happened that it's like, okay, there's almost got to be like a higher power like that's like protecting us in a sense from all this like chaos in the universe?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. The way I attest to it is just time. And so I believe that the earth is billions and billions of years old. And obviously Homo sapiens have only been, in my opinion, around at most 300,000 years. So if you put that perspective into that kind of time frame, it's just astronomical. So yeah, the chances that yes, we haven't been hit by maybe let's say an asteroid recently or different cataclysmic events. I just think that we have a history of amnesia as a human species. I think we just have not been around long enough or don't have enough written documentation to support these things. But if you look at archaeologists and people that are trying to go out and geologists, people that are going out into the field and looking at just Earth rather than looking at humans or different living organisms, just looking at the planet itself, it continues to show us that we do go through cataclysms. I think the most
Hmm.
recent a marker was I think about every 125,000 years, the world goes through a major cataclysm, whether that's volcanoes erupting, asteroids, or different things like that, that literally wipe out a large majority of any kind of living species. So, but I think we just go through these cycles. And so, but if you take it in the human time period of Homo sapiens, and let's say it's 300,000 years, we haven't even gotten to our third cycle of cataclysms yet. And we say that, society has only been around for 5,500 to 6,000 years. But I think it's even farther than that. I think we're closer to 30 or 40,000 years of human societies existing. But even then, we're still 50 to 100,000 years out of cataclysms. We haven't even, so even if you go to the farthest traces back of humans, we just don't have any memory of it because we haven't experienced it yet. And with all the other, species that were close to humans, we either just didn't have they weren't advanced enough to make any history that still exists today evidence-wise, whether that was writing with stones, physical structures that we can still see to this day. I always accredit it to myth. When it comes to myth, it's the written language or the verbal communication that has passed down for thousands to tens of thousands of years. And so a lot of they talk about the historical myths of flood myths. And so obviously Christianity has Noah's Ark, and then there's other
Hmm.
religions in different places all over the continent that have flood myths. No one can specifically say with evidence, yes, this happened point blank with like Noah's Ark, for example. They don't say, oh well, Noah's Ark took flight when 5,672 AD, right? They don't have like a specific date for that. They just have a story, and for the most part, a lot of people believe it. And so I think that is more likely to me that things do happen and it only gets changed or passed down by word of mouth, but I also think that we are just too young as a species to truly have embodied any of this. And maybe why it hasn't been passed down is that all of our pre-evolution has gone through those cataclysms and got wiped out by them. Maybe they got completely wiped out to the point where we don't even obviously didn't carry on any of those traditions and now we're just humans. I know that was a long answer, but
No, honestly, like that was a very good answer though. Like that honest, like what you said, in a sense makes sense. Like, is it exactly what I believe? No, but like I honestly like I respect that answer a lot because now I'm like it gets you thinking a little bit, but like will it change my beliefs and stuff? Like no, but like that answer does make sense.
there's just too much time, and
Hmm.
it's, with us as humans, even if we are super blessed and we get to, let's say, make it to 85, that's a
Yeah.
long life. That's a lot of
Hmm.
time. But 85 years in the span of the earth is nothing. I mean, that's not even a rotation of a day to it. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
there's just so much time that I personally believe this earth has gone through that we are
Hmm.
just a small, small fragment of it. And so but kind of on that sense, do you think that more that we were put here as humans, or do you think that it was, how should I put it? Do you think that basically God decided, hey, I'm going to create humans, found Earth, and put us on this Earth, or he was always on Earth and said, hey, now is the time for humans, let's put them in it?
I think God was always on Earth. That
Okay.
he had this planet and like it's hard for me to like pinpoint exactly just because like there's no real like facts based to like how it truly happened besides what was written in the Bible. But I and like none of us have like met God and stuff like that. But I believe God put us on this earth and He made us to like carry and spread His message and like gives us a lot of good opportunities in life to live a happy life and like try to earn a chance into his heaven and like, his kingdom and eternal life. And he just blesses us with opportunity that is like we're forever grateful for. Just because like even like babies being born and like, like there's like a 1 in a million chance like me and you are the exact way we are just because like how like human evolution and all that stuff happens. Like so many specific things had to happen. So I do believe that like God has always had this earth and decided to create us and allow us to spread his message. And maybe it didn't go the exact way you planned. Like when Adam and Eve were in that garden and they ate the forbidden fruit and then, but he's allowing us, let us do our thing and make our choices and earn a way into his kingdom forever.
Yeah, so you fall on more of the side that you don't think that he has, like, a hand in your daily life. He more or less just tries to help guide you in the best way, like,
Yeah.
through scripture and different things like that. I like that stance. I think
Mhm.
one of the big things that always drove me away was when people were like, "Oh, I dropped my keys. Thanks, God. You must be playing jokes on me today." And it's just like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
don't do
no.
that. It's just like I completely am on the same ballpark if you take the stance of like God created this like the Bible and the teachings and basically laid out the best way to live your life and
Mhm.
use it as a tool. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
I,
I just think he blessed us with, like, like, the opportunity to, like, succeed and be successful, and, like, it's not like every time you, like, pray to God, like, like, when my dad was sick, it's like, I prayed to God and, like, he still ended up dying. It's like he can't, like it's not like he's just like a ruler's hand that like, oh, if you talk to God, he's going to solve all your problems and all that. And like it's saw throughout the Bible where it's like sometimes like people will be sick or they'll bring up great offerings like out of their own greed and God will punish them for that because he knows they're not doing it for the moral or like the right reason. So like I believe that's where like you truly get faithful and all that. And like when you start following God for like living it in his life and not doing it for yourself in a sense.
so like when you pray, you would say more towards you're just asking for guidance on how you should tackle a situation rather than asking for things.
Yeah, yeah. Just cause like, honestly, it's been, like, a way I was raised too, like, I haven't had a lot of stuff in my life to me, like, handed and all that, and I've had to work very hard for opportunities, like, even in wrestling, I'm not the most talented, I'm not the most, like, physically gifted, but, like, I've been able to work hard and, like, use my mind to mold me into who I am, the competitor I am. So, like, that's what honestly, yeah, that's what I believe.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. I've always liked the idea too of if God wasn't on earth or didn't create the earth, that maybe since he's like the almighty higher power, that maybe he was just checking out the universe and like seeing where his
Mhm.
creation could be best suited
Yeah.
and found
Mhm.
earth and then put us here. I think that's pretty cool because in a sense then we'd all be like aliens in a sense. I'm like that's a kind of a cool theory. Everybody wants to
Uh-huh.
look to the skies and point at the little green people. I'm like, shit, maybe
Mhm.
we're the because if you look at everything else on the planet, we're the only ones that are this advanced and this kind of different. So that's kind of where
Mhm.
the religious aspect comes through too, where people are like, "Well, we have to be different. We have to have a higher power." And so I'm like, "Well, maybe that's true, but maybe we were just put here." I think that's a cool idea. I don't know, but we'll never know. I think that's the biggest thing. And so when you but whatever gets you to that final point in life where you can accept everything for what's about to become, like I mentioned before, we talked about death. Like one of the questions I always ask people is, what do you think happens after you die?
I like to think that, like, when you, like, truly, truly go out, not like when, like, let's say, like, you died and, like, you're realized, but, like, when you, like, truly die and there's no more, like, there's nothing left, I think that there's, like, you see, like, I always like the idea of believing that you see, like, your life flash before your eyes and, like, all the highs and all the lows and all that, and I think, like, as you watch the story go on and, like, the video play through, like, you'll see your life trending in a general direction, whether it's up or down. and, like, based on, like, how that ends, like, like, if it's, like, a good ending and happy ending, you're gonna end up in heaven, but, like, if you see your life trending down and, like, the way you treat people and the way you make people feel, then, like, I believe you'll go to hell, and I would just like to think that it's, like, the stuff that God's gonna show you is not just necessarily, like, life through your eyes, but, like, maybe in a sense, like, how you touch other people and, like, how you, like, made them feel because, like, you could think you're doing good stuff in your eyes and all that, but, like, truly, like, you're hurting other people, you're making them do bad things and bad thoughts, but you won't truly ever, like, know that unless, like, you strive to be better and, like, believe, like, what you're doing is right.
Introducing West River Caramel Whiskey. West River Whiskey proudly presents their caramel flavored whiskey, a proud product of South Dakota. A perfect balance of high quality whiskey and smooth caramel, crafted to provide a rich experience with every sip. The whiskey used in their caramel whiskey is double pot distilled and aged for 5 years in American white barrels, creating a deep, refined character before carefully blended with caramel flavors. Brewed in agriculture and crafted with care, this bottle represents the spirit of the Midwest hard work, patience, and authenticity. Whether enjoying neat, over ice, or mixed into your favorite cocktail, West River Caramel Whiskey delivers smooth, warm, with a touch of sweetness that lingers long after the glass is empty. You can get yours now at westriverwhiskeyco.com. Ships to Alaska, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Oregon, South Dakota, and Utah. Yeah. Um, that's tricky, man. Like we said before, I mean, everybody's got to go through it at some point. So, I mean, I always say, the best thing that you could do in this life is when death comes knocking and calls your number, just give death a smile and just
Mhm.
welcome it with open arms, because at some point, hopefully, you've lived a more successful and happy enough life that you're ready to move on to whatever comes after that, whether that's eternal darkness, greatness, whatever it is. Um, but like I always say, there's nothing more. The reason that I live the way I live and am the person that I am is because I don't wanna get to that final moment where I look and just am filled with regrets and filled with ambitions that were just never came true, and that'd be the scariest moment of your life. I mean, why would you go through this entire life and the scariest thing you ever go through is at the end? I mean, death is scary no matter what, but, like, you're just petrified because you just fucked up. Like, just knowing that final seconds that you fucked up, couldn't imagine. Wouldn't wanna go through that, so that's the way I look at death. But, if there was one thing that people were to remember you for when you die, what would you want it to be?
I would just hope just being, like, a hard worker and a happy guy, just, like, always trying to, spread positivity and, like, looking out for other people in a sense, like, not being the guy that's, like, "Oh, like, you should have a beer at a party," or, like, cussing people out on the street and stuff like that, just, like, truly being a genuine, like, nice guy that people wanna be around, and, like, when I die, I want people to, like, be at my funeral or, like, even look back in, like, 5 or 10 years and just be like, "Man, like, Eggleston really, impacted my life and, like, helped me be better." Like, I just wanna try to help other people be better, whether it's, like, in a religion aspect, in sports, or just in school and life, just, like, impact their way in, like, a positive way if I can and, like, not have any, like, sort of, like, negative. Like, obviously, you can't make everyone happy, and, like, some people won't like you, like, that's just the truth, but, if, like, my majority of my close friends and all that, like, if I impacted their life in a good way, I think I'll be able to leave this earth happy.
Yeah, I think that's a good mindset to have, and, whenever I ask that question and people immediately go, "Well, I hope I made enough money," or, "Oh, I hope," it's like, I don't think that's
Mhm.
important. I think at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you're not gonna remember how much numbers were in a screen on your phone when you die. Like, you just
Mhm.
nobody's gonna give a shit. So there's definitely some more prudent in things that you definitely want to
Yeah.
take care of. So, no, I think that's awesome. Well, what would you say, looking at it like a societal view, what do you think the world needs more of from people, and how do you try and embody that in yourself? Would you say?
I think the world just needs more, like, positivity and, like, general happiness in the world. Like, the world is chaotic. It is very chaos, and it's hard not to get wrapped up in that chaos. Like, there's a war going on in Iran right now. Like, there's people being persecuted all over the world for their beliefs. Like, drugs is a major thing, like, the suicide rates are very high. and like people are just getting overall lonely just because technology's taking over this earth. So like we just need more like genuine human connections and like talking to other people in a sense. Like even like if you're like opening a door for someone, like saying thank you or like, looking people in the eyes and giving them a smile and not just like staring at your phone because like you're afraid of like eye contact and stuff like that. Like people need more human connections because like I believe human connections make us happier and like more positive. And living in isolation is hard. Like we all went through COVID in different aspects and all that and all affected us differently. But one thing like we learned as a society is like we're not built to live in like isolation. And in a sense,
Mhm.
like sometimes we still do, just like online school and all that's a lot more common now. And like trying to get, like, clicks online is more common now, so people are, like, doing crazy things and all that. We just need more, like, genuine, like, happiness and, like, hanging out in your neighborhood and not playing video games all day long as a kid. Like, that's one thing I remember, like, I was never the kid that was inside, like, on my video game, and, like, still to this day, I barely play video games. Like, I'd much rather be outside throwing a Frisbee with my friends, like, like, exploring this earth and making connections.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, connecting is what makes societies, and
Mhm,
it goes back to what we said before. Like humans have been around for thousands of years, and what makes us grow in numbers is because we have societies and we have people that are willing to work together to create the greater good. Because, yeah, if you're out on your own and you have to get your own water, your own food, and you have to do all these things, you don't have time to connect with other people. You don't have time to share relationships. And so putting yourself into society and bigger communities gives you those opportunities to explore and be happy. So you're absolutely right. I think that we're taking way too much for granted. And I love what you said earlier that you live one day at a time because you know that you only get one life. And it's
mhm,
absolutely true. And I think that it's very easy to forget that. I think it's very easy to get caught up in the norms of like, oh, I'm only 26 years old, so I've got another 80 years to go. It's like, no, you don't. Like, there's no, and people just take it for granted, or like, oh, I don't got to work today, so I guess I'll just sit on the couch for the next 16 hours and not do anything with my time. It's tough, and everybody gets caught up in it. No one's saying that they're a perfect saint or don't do those things. It's just the fact that yeah, so many people just care about the littlest things and the things that truly just get them tripped up over the fact that we're on a floating space rock in the middle of the universe that
mhm,
we all get to
yeah,
sit around and just be us. I mean, it's bizarre. So why not just take a second to appreciate it rather than sit around and mope? Truly, if you come into contact with truly negative people, it's just so mind-boggling to me. It's like,
mhm,
what is so bad? There's
yeah,
obviously cases and things where people truly have terrible lives, and that is that. But there's
mhm,
just, it seems 8 times out of 10 that it's just because they're in their own head about something silly, or there's just something that just is of unimportance.
mhm.
I use with the government shutdowns for TSA where people were literally acting like if they got told they had to rebook their flights, like you just told them that they couldn't drink water for the day. Like people are literally just losing their fucking minds. I'm like, "Oh, you get underprivileged because you can't fly across to your 8th vacation, so you're gonna literally have a mental breakdown about it?" Like, I think you'll make it. I think you'll be okay. I think you go back to your mansion at home and that night and just put yourself on a nice gold pillow and be okay. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
like
just so weird to me. It's so
yeah, it's
weird.
like you'll be perfectly fine swimming in your pool in California, like, you don't need to go to
Yep.
Bora Bora right now.
Nope. Nope. So, I don't know. It's all perspective. It's definitely perspective, and so it's good to talk with people and know people that have a good perspective on life because life
Mhm,
is a tricky game. It's a fun game
yeah,
though. It's fun. Well,
mhm.
let's do this. So we got into the portion now. Is there any questions that you have for me other than the ones that you've already asked?
I'd say my question that I thought about was, what's like one thing you've learned? Because you've been doing these podcasts for a while now, right? Like, what's your biggest thing like you've learned from doing this about yourself in a sense, and like about trying to like start this new journey into like making podcasts?
That's a great question. I think there's a couple things. One big thing is that no matter what you do in this life, there's going to be a part of you that tells you not to do it. You're
Mhm,
always gonna have that inner demon that tells you not to do it. Oh, there's 8,000 podcasts out there. no one's gonna listen to you. No one cares what you have to say. Like all these different inner demons, but at the same time, knowing what you know is right or what you feel is right, you have to chase it. You just have to. Like no matter what, if whether it's negative comments when I post videos or people telling me that, I'm sure there's people when I told them I was starting a podcast or they see it when I post on social media, like Dylan's starting a podcast. What is he doing? Like what
Mhm,
in the hell is going on? So I think the biggest thing that I've learned about myself is when I had that aha moment of like, yes, I want to talk to people. I want to get to know people on a deeper level. The best way that I could do this is through a one-on-one interview style podcast. Even through the days where I'm like, oh man, do I really want to jump on a call for the next hour and a half, 2 hours? Or oh man, I got to get up and I got to edit all my own videos and post that today. Like, no matter what I'm feeling, like if you're something you truly believe in, you just got to do it. No matter
mhm,
what you're feeling during that day, time, or anything in between, you just got to do it. And secondly, I think that people, from anyone that I've talked to, obviously I talk to people that I know well or people that have been friends, family, or in between, but even people that I've reached out online that are like, hey, I want to come on the podcast and share my ideas. Everybody wants to connect. And I think that there's just not enough people out there that are giving people the platforms to connect. I think there's obviously social medias, but people are connecting over negative things, like where it's like somebody, like you said, somebody goes out and like pranks somebody, and then they go, "Oh, this is hilarious. Let's get 2 million likes on it," or like just doing stupid shit, and that's what people are connecting over. I'm like, that's ridiculous. Like that doesn't make any
mhm.
sense. Why don't and everybody wants to take time to talk about, oh, I politically believe in this. Oh, I believe in this, that, and the other thing. I don't care. Like that's an opinion. What I want to talk about, the things that matter in life. What do you believe is going to happen when you die? What is something
Yeah,
about you emotionally that you struggle with? Religion, so on and so forth. So that's the things that I think are truly important and you want to talk about. But it all comes down to when you have a goal or ambition in mind, no matter how crazy it sounds, just do it. Just do it, and at the end of the day, if
mhm,
it fails, it fails, right? If
yeah,
I never do another episode again, so be it. At least I can look back and say I did it, and I think that's a testament of my life. Everything I've done in my life is because of that simple principle that know I would have regretted it if I didn't try, and I've failed hundreds of times, maybe even thousands, but at the end of the day, I get to say I did it. I get to have that
mhm.
title. I get to say, "Yep, I tried podcasting," or I did podcasting," and so that gives me a good sense of purpose.
Awesome. And, another one too is, like, you're approaching 30, right?
Yeah, I'm getting close. Woo,
Yeah,
getting
so
old.
so, like, through, like, almost your 30 years on, like, this earth, like, what's been, like, the hardest, like, life lesson and stuff you've had to learn about, like, yourself and, like, throughout time? Because, like,
I'm
you've been to Oregon and,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
experienced joined the military, you've done a lot, like, a lot of different avenues and stuff like that, so, like, what's been, like, the one thing that has molded you into who you are today?
That's a great question. The realization that I wasn't who I thought I was. There was that I spent my whole life up until I was in my mid-20s thinking that I was just this impenetrable force, that I was just this great athlete, I could do all these things, and that was what my identity was. And then one day I woke up and realized that I had not been using my brain at all. I was literally using my brain to I wanted to be the best COD player or the best Apex player, or I wanted to be the best
Mhm,
athlete, the best soldier, or whatever it was, all physical things. So my brain train wise was so physically geared. So like if it was like I said, I could do 120 push-ups in 2 minutes. I could do 120 sit-ups in 2 minutes. I could run 13-minute 2 miles, sub 2 miles. I could go 20 miles with a 50-pound rock. All these, great things, but at the end of the day, when it came down to it and when my body gave up on itself, up here was the weakest part of me. And it
mhm,
was that moment of like, oh, none of that matters. The only thing that matters is your mentality and the mental side of things. And so that was my biggest aha moment of like, oh shit, life is about what's up top. It's not about what the rest of your body can do. It's about how you mentally take on life. And so when I had that realization, it was when my relationship started turning better. I started caring about myself more. I started to have a better outlook on life in general. Because looking back, it was just like when I entered that, it was a dark stage because it was that transition of high of physical peak to that midsection of like, I don't know who I am anymore, and then finding myself again. And so it was definitely that idea that the most important tool that you have as a human being is your brain. So if you're not training your brain every day to become a better person, to harden it, to make you, more logical, smarter, whatever it is, then you're just wasting your talents. And so that's why
Mhm.
I try every single day to, whether it's through meditation, whether it's to self-reflection, whatever it is, just to take the time and train my brain and get back on the right focus. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Our most powerful tool is our brain. It has nothing to do with our body.
Yeah, it's like the old saying, like, no matter how much money you have, it can never buy your happiness, and
Never can. You can give as much time as you want to it, but it's just not gonna make the bucks at the end. So, but yeah, it made me sound old, but it's true. It's true. I've done some things, but no, I think one of the coolest things with the army, I guess, that taught me is that there's a much bigger purpose than yourself too. I think that's one thing that I was always, it was definitely self-centered of like what I always wanted to do as an athlete. But then when you get into that setting, it's nothing to do with what you want to do. It's what is the best for everybody else around you. So that I think did help with my I was always a selfish person, so I think that
Mhm,
definitely helped change my mindset in going into that mentality too, is that it's not about me all the time. It's not always about you. And so I'm very different from you and Darian and even Lauren, it seems like, is that I am very self-centered, and I know that about myself now. And so I had the opposite effect of what you guys do, where you're trying to look more internally. I'm trying to look more externally because I was
mhm,
always the person that was always going to look me, 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 and not even pay attention to the people around me. And so that's something that I've had the hard realization too of life is waking up and being like, oh shit, I need to check on my people, and I need to be more involved with everybody else around me. So, but
mhm.
yeah, you learn those things as you get older. You'll find out soon enough, my friend. Soon
Yeah,
enough.
uh-huh. Yeah, it's like both ends of the spectrum. It could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. Like, it's hard to find the balance in the middle of being, like, selfless and, self-centered. Like my coach was talking to me at nationals, like, like, I have to be harder on my team and stuff like that, but, like, at the same time, you can't get too wrapped up in your team. Otherwise, like, your individual results are gonna drop because it's like finding the perfect balance of being able to encourage people and help people and carry you along the way, but then realizing too, like, at the end of the day, like, your personal goals should always trump what other people's goals are.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's true. That's true. You got any other questions for me?
Uh,
It's okay if you don't.
how's the baby doing?
Baby's amazing, man. Ariana's even said she feels way better this time than she did the first time, which is great. Because
Mhm,
the last time she just was out of it for months and months, and it was obviously having your first kid. It's a shell shock, and for me and for her, it was a whole different thing. But like second time around, it's not like we're pros by any means, but like you just know what's gonna happen. You know what to expect. So when the baby gets up at 1:30 in the morning, then again at 3:30, and then at 5:30, you're just like, well, this is what a baby. This is what it is.
mm,
And but she's been so good. She's healthy, she doesn't squirm a ton, Darian feels great, I feel pretty good, so overall, it's been great. Honestly, the hardest part is just having almost a two-year-old that's still running around the house full speed, so while you're sitting there trying to coddle the newborn, you're like, trying to point and wave and do all the things, so that's
mhm.
honestly been the hardest thing so far, is just trying to corral the two-year-old, but,
Yeah,
it's a blessing, man.
has Freya been taking the baby well and all that?
Very, very better than I thought she would, very much better.
Mhm,
She loves to help, so, like, today even I was baby or bottle feeding her, so I'd give the bottle to Freya, I'd burp the baby, and I'm like, "Alright, time to feed the baby," and she'd come up and or she likes to do that with a passy, and she gives her
mhm.
kisses and all the things that'll melt your heart, so it's really awesome to see, and I think she'll be a great big sister. And that's as a man that melts my heart. Yeah, I tell
Yeah.
you what, it's amazing to see. So, but who would have thought two little girls? They've taught me so much already, and they're not even two yet. So It's wild.
Mhm.
I can't wait to see what the next 18 plus years has in store for me to being a girl dad and learning what it means to be a father, you know?
Yeah. Mhm.
It's a wild ride. It's crazy.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, it's just crazy too because, like, obviously me and Lauren weren't together when Freya was born and everything, but I did get the opportunity to meet Freya in Sioux Falls, like, this past August, and then, like, seeing pictures of her now, I'm just like, wow, like, it almost in a sense, it, like, makes you, like, look at time and all that, and it's like, I'm taking this time for granted because, like, Freya's growing up so fast and, like, life's moving so, like, fast at a fast pace, and we got all this stuff thrown at us, it's hard to look at these moments and not, we're taking them for granted almost in a sense, like, all these little moments, like, we'll never have again in our lives, so it's just, like, honestly, like, watching that stuff has made me more grateful for even my own life in a sense like that and the stuff I'm doing and the opportunities I get.
I never truly appreciated time until I had Freya. Like, just every second. And even I was telling Darian yesterday, like, every time I hug her and I get to pick her up and hold her and she puts her head on my shoulder, every single time I just take a extra second because I know at some point I'll never get it again. And
Yeah.
it's even with the kids, like, I'll have people like, oh, how's waking up every 2 hours? And I'm like, great. Because I know that I will never have to do that again with Solveig. I'll
Mhm.
never get that opportunity again. Like with Freya, that's gone. I never get to do that again. So it makes you slow down so much, and
Mhm.
in a good way, a very good way. And so
Yeah.
it's teaches me a lot every
Mhm.
single day. But
Yeah.
well, let's say I would love to get if you've heard the podcast, I got to ask the bonus question, the
Mhm.
big overarching question about my Egyptology little fix that I have. So, how do you think the pyramids were built, and who do you think built them?
I do think the pyramids were built by an ancient civilization, but my biggest thing is I don't know if like the timeline is right by it. I think it's a higher power civilization just because like it's hard to like the stones are heavy. It was shiny. It's pointing to like true north and all that. They're deep, they're intricate, there's traps in them. Like that stuff's not easy to build. It's hard to build. And do I know, like, I don't know exactly how that was built, but I just think along that lines. How about
Yeah,
you?
I think you're right on the money. I think it was definitely an older civilization that had technology that's not within our grasp. The traditional route, like you said, it says it took 20 years to build. And it's like, okay, so if it took 20 years, then we should have the technology or the idea of how they made it, right? Because if you can put a
Mhm.
time frame on it, then you should be able to. And of course, they have no idea. There's just you can't recreate it. You couldn't even get fourth of that built with modern technology. You couldn't even get
Yeah.
close. And so the other thing that I think people don't factor in is that they can prove that where all of the stones were quarried and where they got all the blocks was 500 miles south, right?
Mhm.
So they not only quarried those, how they got it out of the big stones, shaped them perfectly, then put them on whatever they did. Let's just say it's a boat, which obviously a boat's not going to hold that much weight. Boat can't hold 80 tons. Like, it's just not possible, especially in that day for what they can prove. Got it all the way up there, and then not only placed it, but then put it I think the top of it is 485 feet, and then it's 4 football fields wide in all directions. It's just impossible. It's so weird. So, like, whenever I post these clips onto the internet and people are like, "Well, we know how they were built. You're just talking crazy." I'm like, "You're lying. Don't you
Yeah.
tell me you know how they were built." Or like somebody tagged a YouTube video and he's like, "Watch, this guy can move a block that's this much." I go, "That's great. Now send me a video that he can do that at 485 feet in the air." Like,
Mhm.
I don't want to hear it. I just don't like. So there's just no. That's why I love asking the question, because it's truly just a hypothesis. Even if you're an Egyptologist, you study this for a living, nobody knows. Like, nobody can tell you. So I always love to ask people and get their opinion, because we won't know. But it's there and we can see it and we know what happens. Somebody had to
Mhm.
have done it. Somebody had to put it there. So I don't know, but it
Yeah.
just kind of goes back to my beliefs in that I think there's just civilizations that happened before us, advanced, and then at some point cataclysms kind of took their role, or any micro cataclysms to be precise. And so I don't know. Like, I always mention to people, have you heard of the Younger Dryas theory or the Younger Dryas hypothesis?
I have not. What is it?
Based off the Ice Age. So essentially, the last Ice Age was 12,800 years ago, lasted to 11,600 years ago, and from that time, basically, you can notice with it was the megafauna, so like the mammoths, everybody like that, they
Mhm,
obviously died off, and so I think that that was a cataclysm in its own. It wasn't like an asteroid that came and blew up most of the Earth or a volcano, any of those things, but because the temperatures froze and the glaciation melted, so the caps, so I'm not sure if you know, but basically the whole northern part of the United States was once covered with 2 miles thick of ice sheets. So like
oof,
Montana, Minnesota, North Dakota, like all these places were completely covered, and most of Canada too, but eventually the temperatures got warm enough that it completely melted the ice sheets. So if you go to places like Idaho, Montana, places like that, they have these deep gorges and valleys is because they had giant floods, like just humongous floods and going through and just completely wiped out all the landscape, and that's much like Iowa. And so I think it's Michigan and Minnesota that have all the lakes, and that's basically those are freshwater lakes, and that's all coming stemming from the glaciation that then melted and kind of poured down into there. So
mhm,
that kind of made also the sea levels rise. So 11,000, give or take 12,000 years ago, the sea levels rose up 400 feet. So the sea levels, all of the coastal environments, if you look at all the major cities still to this day, everything's on the coast, right? So say for instance that was dropped down hundreds of feet, if not miles and miles of, and all of a sudden you raise up 400 feet, it's going to evaporate and take out any cities and civilizations that was there before and recede everybody in. And that kind of goes back to my point earlier where everybody has a flood theory. Everybody has a flood myth in their religion or society or culture. And I don't
mhm.
think that any of them really are talking about a whole earth. Like science can prove that it wasn't the whole earth, but what they can prove is that in different major civilizations that could have been potentially at the time, there was floods, and then they all kind of line up together with that. So I think that kind of stems into an overarching, I guess, bigger idea that I think there were civilizations before us. I think they were human. I think they had different technology than obviously we have the Industrial Revolution. That's what kind of propelled us so far forward. I think they had completely different technology and kind of created everything beforehand and wiped it out, and then we got the restart button. So I don't know. I think that we're us as humans and societies are far older than we think. Far older than we think. I really do. I just don't think that we got to this point off of a couple thousands of years, and we migrated just off of went from hunters and gatherers one day to building the pyramids the next. I just don't see that. I can't wrap my brain around it. That's what mainstream wants to say, but that's just not for me. That's not for me.
Do you think we'll ever find out, like, in a sense, the truth of, like, how it really happened, or do you think that's just something we'll know once, like, we die and meet the end?
Ooh. That'd be great. If I think about it every day, so if at some point, if there was a higher power that came and actually gave me the truthful answer, like, gave me a little glimpse, that's what I'd say. If I had a superpower to be time travel, I just wanna go back and watch that. I just need to know. It irks at me. Um, but I don't think we ever will because even the trajectory that we're on, even, like, you gotta think about cell phones weren't a thing when I was a kid. Like, they just weren't. They were maybe some flip phones, but now we have every single person fuck, I got 2 phones on my table right here. Like, everybody's got a phone, you know? Or, like, even with cars, the cars 150 years ago weren't even a thing, and now we're flying around and doing all these things. Like, we're advancing at such a rate that we might be able to, but who's to say that the previous civilization was on that industrial revolution grind? Whether they found gases and found all the things, found the motor engines, so on and so forth. Maybe they found different ways to do things, different ways to go around, and then they perfected those, like we're perfecting our craft now, and then unlocked it. So yes, we will continue to go down this industrial revolution side with technology, machinery, oils, and all those things to produce the best version of ourselves. But will it get us to the answers that we're looking for? I don't think so. I don't think so. But man, I would love an answer. God, if we could
Mhm,
ever get to the end of the day and just be like, "We got it." Like somebody walked in with a piece of paper and said, "I can remake this," and they do, and that'd be so cool. But even then, maybe they remake it and it wasn't the same way they made it the first time, you
mhm,
know? And maybe they can recreate it, but it's just different. It's just not the
yeah.
same. So,
So do you think we'll, like, almost in a sense get to a point in society where, like, we build so high up, like, let's say the Egypts built, like, a society that was so high, like, it self-destructed itself because like, almost in a sense now we have, like, nuclear war, like, that's always a big thing. It's like when we go to war, it's like, "Oh, this is the end of the earth," World War III. Like, do you think something like that is like it's like a repeating cycle where we just, like, as humans destroy our own civilization and then we have to start from square one again with, like, evolution?
I don't think humans destroy us, I think the Earth destroys us. I think Mother Nature will always win, and
Mhm,
the problem that we have is that we don't teach past generations well enough. Like, for instance, I always say for like, with my high school Gmail account, right, where I had maybe, like, Balloons Tower Defense or, like, all these other different games, I can say 100% I put in X amount of time, I did all these things, but I have no proof. I can't go
mhm,
back and show it, I can't go back and see it. I think that's with humans, we're advancing so fast, but we don't have any way to teach the previous generation what we did in the past. We're advancing so rapidly that we don't like flip phones. When was the last time you saw a flip phone in anybody's hands? Right? Everybody's just so pushed towards iPhone, Samsungs, all these things, and we're just progressing so rapidly that we just forget our core essentials. Then I bring it back all the way to hunters and gatherers, right? Where as a base premise, everybody understands that you have to eat and you have to sleep and you have to pee and poop, right? That's literally what makes you a human. You have to do all those things. But I don't know very many people that could go be put in the middle of the woods, provide themselves shelter so they wouldn't get killed or wouldn't, die to the natural environments, or be able to go out and actually sustain food, water, and all those things and not die. So I think that humans just get to a point where they get so ahead of themselves that we currently right now, let's say if like Yellowstone erupted and then
mhm,
created that fog that would literally cover it would first take out a huge percentage of the population, but then it would create like a literal fog that would cover most of the sky for years and years and years, and then we'd have to change the way we grow crops, the way we do all these things. A huge majority of the population would just die just because we
mhm.
we couldn't survive that. So, I think in that sense, it just takes a small, cataclysmic event to reset humans. So, I don't think humans do it necessarily to themselves. I think Mother Nature does, and humans just have this tendency of just progressing too fast and don't stick to their roots. Like, we just don't see enough people that can fend for their own selves off their own basic need of life.
Yeah, I
But
agree. That's mhm.
if we get to experience that in this lifetime, I hope not, dude. I'm telling you right now, if I got dropped into the woods, I'd be a dead man. So it doesn't matter how much training I have. I don't know how to hunt things. I don't know how to siphon my own water correctly. Like I probably
Mhm.
wouldn't make it. So yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's the scary thing. Like even with me and Darian, I have like survival packs. So like I have maps of Kansas City, compasses, guns, water filters, like packs. So
Mhm.
just in case shit does hit the fan. But like that's in the hopes that maybe we could last 15, 20 days if shit really hit the fan, but, like, we're talking months to a year, we'd have to survive and adapt, but I just don't think we as mankind have adapted well enough, so we would be in a shitstorm if something actually popped off, and we'd be right
Yeah.
back to square
It's
one.
mhm, especially with, like, how much we rely on, like, the electrical grid and, like, that stuff now, it's like, if you drop most people in the woods, the first thing they're doing is holding up their phone trying to find a cell
Mhm.
service, not, like, thinking about survival.
Yep. Let's take a video and make sure I can post this later so that just in case
Mhm.
everybody knows that I did
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
which
Mhm.
it's so crazy. I think the funniest videos to me are the people who get in car accidents and they're literally upside down, and the first thing they go for there is phone and video recording. They're like, "Oh my god, guys, look, I just got into it." I'm like, "Dude, are you stupid? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
what are you doing?" Like, but that's where we're at
Mhm.
in society. You're right. If we were dropped in the woods or something would happen, or like even like say Yellowstone did erupt, half of us would go run out there with our phones and be like, "Oh wow, look what's going on, man!" Like, it's like, dude,
Yeah. Mhm.
what are we doing? It's
Yeah.
so funny.
Mhm.
We're we're special. We're special
Yeah.
civilization for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Caden, I appreciate you taking the time to come on tonight. And, I know it's not the easiest thing in the world to sit down and, you're a busy college kid trying to do a lot of good things. So I
Mhm.
appreciate you
Yeah.
coming on and taking the time to join the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.